Hey everybody, it's Dan from the Outdoor Trade Show Network. It is Sunday night. It's time for We Care You Matter, and I have my friend Duffy Kopf again. I'll get it right here one of these times. We do these enough. And we're going to talk fishing line tonight. And I've got a bunch of questions for Duffy. I know everybody else has a bunch of questions. And that's another one is if you got questions about fishing line, I would like it if you would type them in or ask them, because as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of questions to be had. Now, tonight we're going to talk about Berkley fishing, Berkley lines, and we're going to talk about Spiderwire lines, because that's what Duffy, that's what you know.
Well, I represent those companies, and the stuff that they have is so good, it's easy for me to talk about them. But here's, just to give you an idea, putting some line under stress.
Yeah.
Some big fish. And now I want you to think that the average person walking into a Cabela's or another sporting goods store like that, and they look at that line wall and you go, oh my God. And it's overstimulation for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And for them to know everything about all those lines doesn't even happen. I don't know everything about all those lines. I know about the lines that I use a lot, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So, Berkley makes more line than anybody in the world, and it is worldwide. And their stuff is very, very good. There's the website, if you want to get into that.
I do want to go back to that. I should just leave you alone, shouldn't I?
And then the first one I want to talk about is Fireline. And in Fireline, if we can switch to that other camera here, Dan.
There we go.
Okay. Here's what a big spool looks like. I don't usually get small spools. I get it in the bigger spools. Fireline has been around for a long, long time. It's been around for a long, long time. They're kind of in their second generation in the formula on that. And it is so much better than it used to be. It's not even funny.
It's that camera.
It's 30% stronger, and there's all kinds of uses. Now, it is not a braid. Fireline is not a braid. It is a fused line. It's a material, so it is not round, and really is not made for putting on a bait caster. You're better off using it on a spinning reel. There are some guys that troll with it with a bait caster, but that's different than casting and reeling in. Casting and reeling in, because it has its downfalls with that. But this stuff is so tough. Now this one I've got here is 14 pound. There's no way 14 pounds of pressure is going to break that. And that's just their testing has proved that time and time again.
Right.
And it comes in the black. It also comes in.
So we're doing the cameras again?
Yeah.
There
You
we
can
go.
see it looks white, but that's their translucent version of it. And it also comes in a green. It's all the same stuff. All works the same. And it really is, we really sell a lot of that stuff. I mean, it really is very popular.
Well, like I told you, that's what I've gone to is, we'd talked earlier about, I used to have a problem with, what did you call it? With the open reel.
Oh, with a line twist.
Oh God. And that gets so frustrating. And if you're fishing panfish, sometimes you don't have a lot of weight out there.
Yeah.
So you don't have the tension on the line that you should have, and then things get all screwed up and you get flustered. And then I take my grandson, and that's a disaster with him. So I've gone to all of this, and it works nice. I mean,
when I taught my fishing classes, that I've taught thousands of kids. I started out using mono. I found out with the rookies that was a mistake.
Disaster, Duffy. It's a disaster.
Then I started using Fireline, and the amount of times I had to change line or we ran into it in knots and stuff like that, much less of a problem with Fireline.
Now, a question I have. So you got 14 pounder. Is that what you like to use, is the 14 pound?
14 is what I use on most of my spinning reels.
Okay.
And I probably have right now at least 4 or 5 spinning reels stocked with either the regular black or the crystal.
My question to you is, what are the ranges? Does it go from 4 pound up to, what does it go to?
I think the smallest I've seen is 4 pound. I don't know if they make a 2 pound or not.
I don't think they do.
I think
I've never
it goes
seen
up probably to 20.
Goes up to 20.
No, it goes up to 30.
Goes up to 30. Okay, my question is this, I don't fish as much as you do. I use the 6-pound. What I like is the 6-pound, and I have found I don't care what I catch, I can get it in. The stuff doesn't break.
Yeah.
If you get snagged, if you got like your 14-pound there and you get snagged, you can't break it. Yeah. You can't break it. I mean, and I get frustrated sometimes because you pull all you want, you're not going to break it. But the 6-pound, I can, it takes a lot, but you can break it. I don't like to go up to that 14-pound stuff. And a lot of these guys use that higher, and I'm like, why, guys? I've caught muskies on little spinners.
And then a lot of people think, oh, if you're fishing in clear water and stuff like that, and you're not using mono, I said you get real small little two-way swivels.
Yeah,
and then you put
a leader.
And then you put on, and I don't have any here, but you put on a 2 or 3 foot leader of
light
fluorocarbon, and you're all set.
See, that's what I've gone to and I like the, what do you call it? The bobbers that float up and down. What do you call those?
The bobbers that float up and down.
No,
the skinny ones you want. You don't want the round ones.
Yeah, the skinny ones that go on your line.
Slip bobbers.
Slip bob. I'm having brain fart. So slip bobbers, and that works as a nice stop at the bottom. Is that swivel?
Yeah.
Is that barrel swivel down there? And then I'll do 2 or 3 feet of nice clear, 4-pound or whatever. And then if you get snagged up, that'll break off. And it works. It's a great setup for me. But I use like 6-pound Duffy. I don't use 14.
Then maybe you get to the point where you really don't need to use the fluorocarbon either.
And I've caught everything. I mean, nice-sized walleyes. I mean, nice-sized bass. You know how the Madison Lakes, you get yourself a 5-6 pound bass every now and then. It'll take take a little plastic, and 4-pound, 6-pound, they're coming to the boat.
Now let's move on to the next one, and this is a Fireline product too, made by Berkley. If I can do that thing. This is, you'll see the Ultra 8 carrier on there. And actually, this is a form of a braid. And then what they did is with heat, they fuse it. So this is a lot rounder. The Fireline is easy casting. This is even easier. You can even do longer casting.
Now, how long has that been out?
This is the second year.
Second year?
Yeah. And really
You've
nice
used
stuff.
It.
Yes, I have. Everything here I use.
Okay.
All right. So that's just kind of an addendum to the Firelines in there, and this is starting to catch on pretty well. And then I want to move on.
What we doing this?
Yep. To the Pro Spec, and let's do this.
Oh, there you
This
go.
actually is a saltwater braid, and I was turned on to this by one of the guys that I work with. By Kevin Pischke. He is a muskie guide up on Green Bay. And I started using this about 3 or 4 years ago, and I am extremely impressed with this. Now, it's not
80 pounds.
It's not cheap, okay? But it will last forever. I've got some of this when I started with this 4 years ago. It's the same line that's on there. I just reverse its direction, in the spring before we go. It's tough to wear this out. And I can't say enough about this, and I'm going to say some stuff about Spiderwire too, because I think it's right in the same classification.
It is.
But if you want the best, this is one of the braids you need to consider.
Is that good on a bait caster? Because I know Kevin throws all bait casters.
Yes.
This is what you want to use on a bait
Right,
caster.
and you can get the smaller weights and put that on a spinning rod too if you want to.
Okay. Now, how far down do you know on the weights on this? This goes down to 4-pound too, 4 and 6 pound? Or?
No, well, I don't know if it goes quite that low because it is a saltwater braid.
Okay, it's a saltwater.
You'd have to
so
check the
be a little
website
higher.
on that.
Okay.
I've used 40-pound, I've used 65-pound, and I use mostly 80-pound test on the Pro Spec.
Okay.
And then we move to.
There you go.
That form of fluorocarbon made by Trilene. It's 100% fluorocarbon. It's the best fluorocarbon that they make, And it's kind of like their mono. It comes in an XT and an XL, where the XL is much more manageable. You'll get less line twist, where the XT is just a little bit tougher if you're in snaggy situations around rock or a lot of wood.
What's the difference in fluorocarbon?
Fluorocarbon, between monofilament and fluorocarbon, is the way that light actually goes through it.
Oh,
The
wow.
fluorocarbon becomes almost invisible, whereas the monofilaments you still have a visual pattern there with
So
the.
that would be nice to use as a leader, wouldn't it? Rather than some of the other stuff that I've been using.
You certainly could. I know a lot of guys that do that.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
would be good.
You got to figure most bodies of water, especially in the middle of summer, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
They're not going to see it anyway.
When the fish are biting, they're biting. Yeah.
Well, it's not only that, but the water is not crystal clear in most spots.
Right. And the other one that you and I talked about earlier is memory, line memory.
Right.
That was the biggest gripe up until, 10 years ago?
Well,
Was,
and that's a good lead into the trilene.
okay.
The trilene is the best-selling monofilament line in the world, and it comes in two versions. This happens to be the XL. I've got 8-pound XL,
Okay.
and that is the limpest monofilament I have ever used. And your chances of developing the line twist and some of the problems that you can have with monofilament is reduced significantly with a good quality XL line. The XT, which looks just like this, it comes with its pattern is blue. It's the same mono, except it's tougher, it's more abrasion resistant than the XL. So you've got to figure out which one you need to use depending upon the situation that you're in when you're going to be using it. And that, many years ago, I was using this up to 40 pounds
Oh, you were?
for bass tournaments and stuff, because that was the only stuff available back then.
Okay.
And I'd use the XT
And it worked
because
good.
you're throwing it in the brush and around rocks and stuff all the time. But the XT, a little bit more prone to line twist, but the balance is the abrasion resistance and the strength with it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's good. So that's the Berkley lines that I brought, because those are the ones that I use. Now I'm going to go through very quickly, and I'm going to read off a whole bunch of brand names here, or model names of stuff that I don't use and I've never used.
Okay.
I have used the Berkley Nanofill. That is not the toughest stuff in the world, but that is probably the smoothest casting line you'll ever come up with. Prospect makes a metered line, a hollow braid, a pro-grade mono, and a chrome. Berkley also makes an X5 and an X9 braid. It's supposed to be really good stuff. I just haven't used any of it yet, so I can't really make a good comment about it. They also make more of a affordable lines. Berkley makes, under the Solutions model, is they make a braid, they make a fluorocarbon, and they make a mono.
Okay.
They make Gorilla Tough braid. They make Vanish and Vanish Transition, and that's another form of fluorocarbons. They make Trilene Transoptic, which changes color in the sunlight.
Wow.
They make Trilene Sensation, which is less stretch, because normal like the XL will have up to 20% stretch in it.
Oh.
So it's not as sensitive as a braid or a fire line.
Okay.
You got to keep that in mind too. They also make Trilene Big Cat for catfishing, and they make Trilene Big Game. So that's
for your big pike and your muskies and.
that's the Berkley lineup.
Wow.
Now, let's move to Spiderwire.
Nice. There you go. Spiderwire.
And this stuff, again, I probably started using the Spiderwire products about 10 years ago, and I was so impressed with the lines that they make that they're right up there with what anybody else makes. And the first one I want to talk about is right there.
Okay.
They make two forms of it. It's Ultra Cast, and then Nope, I'm sorry, we got the wrong one here. That's the one we want. This is the Invisibraid, the Ultracast Invisibraid. Now this is, again, it looks like it's white here, but it's actually translucent.
Okay.
So I use that, an 80-pound on there, and you think, oh, the fish are going to see that and everything. Don't worry about it, especially with a muskie.
Yeah,
they're going to tackle lure. They don't care what color your line is.
They're out to eat.
And this stuff, and it also comes in a green, which is just the Invisibraid, or not the Invisibraid, but the Ultracast. So there's two forms of Ultracast. There's Ultracast and there's Ultracast Invisibraid. Wow. I don't use much of the Ultracast anymore. The Invisibraid is what I like because I can see my line.
Okay.
To do that, I'm getting old.
Well,
I'm able to see my line.
And I like that too. I like a line that you can see. Some of those lines, it's hard.
Yeah, it really blends in. And then as we move down to the other Spiderwire products that I use, now I'll use the Stealth on spinning. I use it here. I've got 100-pound tests that I use.
Should we show them what it looks like?
One for muskie fishing. That's 100-pound test right there. They make it in 80. I think the Stealth probably goes up even higher in weight. I just never have used any of that. But it's a little bit lower in cost than the Invisibraid, but they have improved this 2 years ago. This is outstanding braid.
Wow.
I'm very, very impressed with that stuff.
100 pounds.
And then, oh yeah, no problem. Some guys will go 130 on some of that stuff and do that.
Like I told you, I catch 6 pound. Yeah.
The last one, I want to encourage anybody here, because we're getting near the end of the lines that I'm going to. I want to encourage people that if you have any questions on any of this stuff, make sure you ask. I know one of the beginning questions on baitcasters is that people don't know that they have to do something so that that line does not spin on the spool. And there's different ways of doing it. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I take a piece of Gorilla Grip. That thing is tough to deal with.
Right here. It's right there.
About that long and about a ½ inch wide. Once I've tied my knot on the spool, and I put it right over the knot, and then I get all my line on there. And I've never had any line slippage.
Right. Because otherwise it'll just slip.
Yep. You'll have a tough time with your drag on stuff like that. This is another form of stealth. But this is, let's show them that one.
Okay.
This is Stealth Smooth. You can see where it says smooth on the bottom. And this goes just a little bit beyond the regular Stealth with a coating and stuff like that. And it slips through easier, doesn't make as much noise, and it's the same good quality braid that your Stealth is. And Stealth is the best selling braid that any of the pure fishing, whether it be Strand, whether it be Berkley, or whether it be Spiderwire, they're all pure fishing products. Stealth braid is our best selling braid.
Okay, moss green, yeah. And like you and I were talking, let's go back to this. So let's go back to that. There you go. You walk in the store.
Right.
That's what you see.
Now, some of those stores will have Stealth in there, but they'll also have Stealth Translucent. They'll have Stealth Glow Viz. They'll have Stealth Camo. They'll have Stealth Pink Camo. And they'll have Stealth Blue Camo along with Ultracast Floral Braid, Ultracast Ultimate Mono, Durafor Braid, Easy Fluoro, and Easy Mono. And you go, what the heck? What do I need?
Yeah, there's spiderwire.com. You know, it's like here. Okay, let's do this. If somebody walked up to you or somebody asked a question here and the guy's like, hey, I'm going fishing. I'm taking my son to go fishing. I'm going to go to Walmart, pick up some fishing line. What do you recommend?
I would say if you're taking your kid fishing, I would start out with a monofilament.
Okay. So get a Trilene.
I would get Trilene XL.
Get Trilene
Especially
XL.
if a kid's learning how to do a spinning reel.
Okay.
You need that Trilene XL. For those of you that have trouble sometimes with the line twist, when I spool line onto my spinning reels, I put this on the floor of my garage and I make sure that the line comes off counterclockwise,
Right.
because then that's the way it's going to go on the spinning reel.
Right.
Okay, you think you're done? I'm not done. I go out in the backyard. I've got almost like a stainless steel post out there, and I'll put it around there, and I'll walk it all out again, and then stretch it a little bit because this stuff stretches. Then I let go, and under pressure, I put it all back on the reel, and you'll see the end of that line going like this when you do it because you're still getting twist on it.
No. Another one that a guy taught me, and something that I'll do with line that's getting twisted, and I'm just, it's becoming complicated, is I cut my jig, I cut everything off the end of it, and as I'm moving or whatever in the boat, I let all that line out the side of the boat.
Yep.
I let it all out the side of the boat, almost down to the end of the spool.
Yeah, and if you could see into the water and you do that, you're going to see the end of the line doing this.
Okay.
As you're trolling that through for a mile or two.
Yeah, and then I'll re-spool it all the way, and after that, there's enough tension in the water, and I might hold a little bit. I don't have to. It's fine after that. It's
Okay.
fine. I learned that from an old guy. He said, cut everything off the end. We're going to move. Let all your line out. Reel it back in.
And when you're using mono, I'm going to give you another tip, and I'm not going to charge you for this one.
Okay.
Okay, you take and you cast out, and you're ready. That bail trips. When that bail trips, you better have at least a little bit of resistance on that line, because if you have any twist going, that's when it's going to do this.
My grandson.
You don't pay attention, and you go like that, and you wind it 12 times around that loop. Then you got a mess, and you're going to end up cutting it.
My grandson Nash. That's you just summed him up right there, and I'm like, oh, he can do he can do things that I didn't think were possible. So, but with this, that was before. Now with this, some of this, I'm using the fire line. I use the 6-pound fire line, and he doesn't screw that up very often. So the stuff works. Other than that, Duffy, what do we want to tell everybody?
I would just I'm not going to tell you what kind to buy.
No,
there's a lot of good lines out there.
There's so many.
I'm just trying to guide you into the direction, show you what some of the options are. Now remember, these are just the lines that I use, that I described.
Right.
There's all those other lines that I went through, and the problem with going to some of the stores, the big stores, you're going to ask a question of somebody, and they really don't have a good answer for you.
They don't care.
If you go to the smaller places, a lot of times you're going to get a good answer from those people because they take the time and they have the knowledge, and it's not a 18-year-old high school kid that's really hasn't been exposed to everything and know stuff that he should know.
One thing I try to tell people, go to a bait shop. We want to keep them guys around. I love walking on a Saturday morning into a bait shop. There's nothing nicer than walking in. If you can, buy your stuff. Go to a bait shop.
Yeah.
Support those guys.
Let's put 3 plugs in here. One for D&S Bait in Madison.
Okay.
Another one for Dorn Hardware in Madison.
Dorn's is the best.
And the other one is Dorn's. Wilderness Fishing Game up in Sauk City, Wisconsin.
If you take Highway 12 and you don't stop at Wilderness, you made a mistake, because they got so much in there to choose from and look at, and they got the best people to talk to in there. Dorn's too.
And they have Weston Baits now.
Oh, they do?
They do. They have Weston Baits.
Wow, that's nice. Tom done well. Tom did well there. So we got berkleyfishing.com, and that's got a load of stuff on it there.
Oh, it'll take you for a couple of years to go through all that.
To go through everything that's there. And then we've got spiderwire.com. We don't have any questions, Duffy. I was hoping we'd get some questions.
Yeah, well,
I don't see any.
We must. Then that shows we did a pretty good job of explaining it.
We did a good job. So with that, are we going to end our
you bet,
our broadcast? And with that, I want to say thank you, everybody. I want to say thank you, Duffy. Duffy, you're
welcome.
always welcome. I could do this every week with you because you got. Duffy's my guy I go to. Even, I don't know, if you got people calling you from time to time, I tell them, call Duffy. Yeah. People call me with questions, call Duffy. Call Duffy. So let me do this. I'm going to do my speech, which is if you got a product or service that has to do with the outdoors, I want to do these with you. I want to share with everybody. I want to know about the product, what makes it unique, where people can purchase it. That's what I'm doing here. And the other one, Duffy, is I can bring a guest on now. Anybody in the world can get a hold of us here at the Outdoor Trade Show Network. I can have you live on here. So you can send me pictures, send me videos. I can incorporate them. You can be live on the broadcast.
And you can get a hold of me if you do have questions, but today is Sunday. Don't call on Monday or Tuesday because I'm going to be out fishing.
You will. Yeah, you're out there quite a bit. So, Duffy, thank you. With that, everybody, thank you and good night. And we're done.
That's it.
Thanks, everybody.